Welcome, listeners, to the Lambert Post podcast. I am one of your hosts, Riley Finley, alongside the Lady Lambert and my stupendous sister, Elizabeth Finley.
Hi, I would just like to say today I am not in a good mood, so if anyone, Quinn, talks about Canada at all, I will freak out.
Okay, if you didn't know, the Lambert Post podcast is a weekly news show in which three best friends sit down, sift through all the stories posted to your school's news website, thelambertpost.com, and talk it out for your pleasure. If you like this podcast, you can send an editorial piece to thelambertpost.com, follow us at The Lambert Post on Twitter, and if you would like to be on the show and talk about the news that matters most to you, contact us and have your voice heard. This week, we have my Canadian biscuit.
Oh my god.
Quinn Forney joining us. What's up, Quinn?
I might still talk about Canada.
Don't do it.
I'm really not kidding about this.
I know. We just decided in the first podcast that was his title. You're my stupendous sister. He's my Canadian biscuit.
Okay. That's all the Canada talk for this week, guys.
Are you okay with that?
No.
No? Okay. We have 6 news items today. I'd actually, as opposed to last week where we only had like 1 or 2 or something like that, and it was really fast, this week we had a lot. I actually cut some stuff out.
Did you cut out my...
Yeah, there were 2 reviews. There was a book review and an album review.
I wrote a book review. It was awesome. Check it out.
You can tell us about it real quick if you want to.
It was about the book Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. Basically, it's like the greatest piece of literature I've ever read in my entire life, and you should read it too, and your life will change because your mind will literally be blown out of your head.
So you enjoyed it?
Yes.
Okay. Is it here at the school library?
I don't know. I don't go to the school library. I just buy my own books.
Well, here's your homework for episode 4. You're going to go to the library, you're going to check if it's there, and you're going to come back next week and you're going to tell this phone.
Okay, I will.
Alright. The first news item was written by Jordan Meeker and Nuseba Smith. Lambert principal Gary Davison on temporary leave of absence due to Facebook post. So basically...
I'm sure all the students have heard that our principal was put on leave because of some offensive posts on Facebook. There still has been no more word whether he's coming back or what's happening next. And
yeah, so we have
really
a temporary principal in.
Miss Bibick.
Yeah, Miss Bibick has been talking about a lot how she wants to keep a positive atmosphere and try to focus on what good can come out of this and stuff. So stuff like that would be focusing on the diversity of the school, focusing on the positive aspects, focusing on how this issue has brought to light areas that we can work on and improve on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's pretty exciting. I was on the news for this.
Yes, you were.
You don't want to talk about it?
As a staff, we've been instructed not to really...
We're instructed to speak about it, but just don't, make it negative. Nothing I've said is negative.
I know, our school is great. Hook 'em horns.
Great with an 8?
Yeah, great with a 9.
Whew, that's great.
It is great.
Alright, well, regardless, my assumption is he'll be back.
Well, we'll have
If you want to
see.
read the article, I'm going to kind of skim over it. So I'm not going to read it. When I say skim over it, I'm going to, not read it.
Okay.
It's on the Lambert Post website. Forsyth County released a statement on their website. It was all over the news. It was in the Forsyth Herald. You can find all the information you want there. So, that's that. The next piece is written by Logan White, literary editor. It's titled A Girl's Guide to Pushing Breast Cancer Aside. Breast Cancer versus a Fiber Diet. Quote, today, the NPR released their study and revealed the benefits of a high-fiber diet for young girls, specifically lowering the risk of developing breast cancer later in life. The study stresses the importance of consuming at least 25 grams of fiber a day. It seems to be a little iffy. It says that people who ate a bit more fiber had 16% lower lifelong risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
Correlation doesn't equal causation. Right, Quinn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of fiber, but...
You do?
Yeah. My cereal choice is Raisin Bran.
That's a good cereal.
Raisin Bran Crunch is by far the best cereal choice.
Okay,
Yeah,
so like
it is.
about cereal, right? I like Cheerios and Raisin Bran a lot. My friends keep telling me that like makes me an old person and boring.
Oh,
like
I've
that's
been
not
told
true.
that too.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I know.
It's okay.
Okay,
We're all
but
in this together.
we're all in this together. See, here's the thing.
We're all in this.
My girlfriend's favorite cereal is like Lucky Charms or something like.
That's my brother's too.
I mean, it's good, but
Yeah,
I enjoy the marshmallows.
It's okay.
Why have they not had an all marshmallow box yet
that'd be awful.
at Lucky Charms?
That would
What
be.
the heck?
I actually like the oat pieces better.
You're disgraced.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, I don't know.
I think you're the only one.
Here's is no the all marshmallow thing is a bad idea because the marshmallows are a treat. Now, what was a good idea was the all Crunchberry Captain Crunch.
Yeah, that was.
That's way better.
All Crunch Berries?
Mm-hmm.
How is that any different from all marshmallows?
Because they're Crunch Berries, not marshmallows.
Okay. I don't
That's
see.
that's apples
your
and oranges.
reasoning doesn't make sense.
That's two completely different things.
I mean, they're both the good parts of the cereal. Like when you eat your Captain Crunch with the Crunch Berries in it, you eat all the yellow flake things first, and then
Yep.
you save all the
Yeah.
things last. Same
Of
with
course.
Lucky Charms. You eat
I'm
all the
not argu-
nasty oats first,
No,
and
no,
you
no.
save the
You don't really
marshmallows.
save the marshmallows.
Yeah, you do.
You eat them throughout to spice up the regular
No, I
pieces.
save the marshmallows.
That's kind of weird.
Okay.
Quinn?
But really though, those are all like perfectly normal. You know what's the worst thing that needs to be fixed
Yes?
is when you're eating like the toasted wheat cereal or like Wheaties or something like that.
No, Wheaties is great.
They always soak up the milk, and you don't
Oh,
have
are
any
you
milk
talking
left in your
about
bowl.
mini wheats?
Yeah, those.
What?
Yeah.
They always.
Whoa!
Mini,
you don't-
no, mini wheats are
Mini
delicious.
wheats are
I
like
always
probably
just,
one of the best cereals.
What I
are
do
good.
is with my spoon, I get like the wheat mini thing, and I push it against the side of the bowl to like drain the milk out of it.
Oh, I like it when they're
Seems
milk solids, but I always have to
far
go
too
and
much
pour
work.
extra milk on the cereal.
Well, I don't really like milk. I
That's
drink
ridiculous.
almond milk, so
Seems like far too much work.
Yeah.
no, it's actually better for you, better for the environment, tastes better.
Wait,
Almond
wait,
milk
whoa,
is the way to
whoa,
go.
wait. It's better for the environment to drain your milk out of your mini wheats.
No, I mean like almond milk is
Oh,
better
yeah,
than dairy
yeah,
milk.
yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of land and resources to feed meat.
Yeah, I know.
I was talking about this recently because you know that I'm pretty out and about in saying that I think most reasons for being like a vegetarian are kind of dumb.
Hi, I'm a vegetarian.
but I mean, if you just don't like meat, like cool. But like people who are like I morally don't approve, it's like okay, whatever.
I morally don't approve.
That's fine. And but the one argument that really like does make sense, and that is
bad for the
correct.
environment.
Yeah, is that it takes so much to.
It takes so much water, it takes so much land and the food to feed the
yeah,
animals.
most of our
is
food
so
that we
much.
produce goes to feeding animals.
Yeah.
The other day, I saw this person online saying that if everyone became vegetarian, like everyone would die because we would have to use up all the land to produce vegetables. And it's like, have you ever like?
Yeah, no. Being, if everyone was a vegan, the earth would be a cleaner, probably better place. That being said, I love chicken.
I don't.
I love deer meat. Oh,
Oh
deer
my
meat
god,
is so
stop
good.
talking.
No, deer meat's pretty good.
That's
It is.
disgusting.
I love venison.
I have plans to be vegan when I'm living on my own.
But you just don't want to make it inconvenient for mom and dad?
Because my parents already find it very annoying that I don't eat meat, which isn't that big of a deal. So, vegan would not roll with them. But I mean, I do almond milk and
I have a vegan
all
friend.
that kind of stuff. You know, I'm working on it.
I have a vegan friend. She's like 80 pounds.
Nice.
No, that's not. Anyway, next story. Written by Leah White, Logan's sister.
I know.
Another pair of sisters on here.
Mm.
You can get both of them on at once if we wanted to. That'd be fun.
We'll see.
Yeah. Probably not. Let's just be honest.
Why not?
Nah. Alright, next story. Suicide is now the cause of more teen deaths than cancer.
It's not surprising.
There says, quote, if suicide grew so big as to affect one of the happiest I'm skipping down because there's a precursor about Chick-fil-A and I'm just going to skip that. Quote, suicide has become a big part of teens today. Depression, bullying, family issues, and so much more has affected our youth so greatly that teen suicide now sounds like a normal, everyday issue that occurs, and soon that may very well be true. Many teen suicides are caused by bullying, and others just lack the self-confidence. In the video above, a story is told about a teen boy who was bullied. He was pushed in lockers, beat up, called names, and so much more, all at school. The kids who bullied their son to the point of hanging themselves wore nooses around their neck to school the day after the child's passing. His siblings revealed that the kids at school are still bullying today, and their parents talk about starring in a bullying awareness program. Wow. The kids who bullied their son wore nooses around their necks the next day to school and continued bullying people.
Wow.
That is wild.
Yeah, I have never run into that at Lambert, and I'm quite aware that it happens.
Yeah.
It's never happened to me.
It's never happened to me either. I'm quite aware that it does. I'm always curious though, like, who are the people that are doing it?
I don't know. They never give it like any attention or anything. Like at Otwell, whenever there was like a death anywhere in the county, like a teenage suicide or anything, they would always hold a big prayer circle in the rotunda and like share information about it. But here it just seems to be like nothing.
No. When kids have killed themselves at Lambert, everyone knows, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
When I was a sophomore, a junior killed himself. So you guys were still in 8th grade. You guys weren't here.
I mean,
yet.
I know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a junior killed himself.
It's still a big deal.
Yeah, like everyone knew it was a big deal. I'm saying I never see the bullying happen.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. And probably the reason we don't hold a prayer circle here is because, like, that's...
But
if a factory leads a prayer circle, that's illegal.
do you remember when, like, the girl was in a car accident here and there was, like, a prayer thing for, like, people...
There are certain clubs that do it.
Yeah, no. Prayers...
I don't know what Quinn's talking about over here.
No. Prayer at school is allowed if it's student-led.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, people talk about things like that here.
I would agree with you, Elizabeth.
Maybe I just don't hear about it.
You know, open up the ears.
Maybe, yeah.
That's really sad. About the teen suicide.
Okay. Next story. An overview of Zika by Madeline Leggett, feature editor, who I just decided is going to be on the show next week. Quote, the threat of Zika has recently been spreading over the news, media outlets, and country populations alike. But despite the imminent threat, many don't understand what the disease entails or how it occurs. It first began in Brazil, being a tropical virus, and spread from there. In May 2015, the Pan American Health Organization referred to it as an outbreak. Since then, there have been hundreds more cases in over 20 different countries. Basically, if you guys don't know what the Zika virus does, is people don't think it really affects older people that much. It's just kind of a flu. But if you're pregnant or something, the kid that's born is going to have a normal-sized body and an abnormally sized head, which I think will lead to...
too small?
Small, which I think will lead to things like mental retardation and like other stuff, and the kid won't live for a year. So that's scary, and they're like saying...
Pregnant women, like, shouldn't fly on those countries.
Also, a lot of health advisors are saying, like, if you're planning on having a kid, you may want to wait a bit.
The other day, I was, like, hanging outside of Miss Hamilton, the environmental science teacher's room, and she was talking about, like, DBT, and she mentioned that they've been looking into it as a treatment for that.
What's DBT?
It's that pesticide that was outlawed because it killed a large number of bald eagles because it made,
their eggs.
Yeah, the eggs really soft.
So that could help?
It seemed like it, but I don't really know how much research has been done on it, so...
Yeah.
Have to look at that.
I think there's four confirmed cases in Georgia, so...
Huh.
Ooh.
But it's spread by sexually transmitted diseases, so like...
Oh.
If you're abstinent,
Safe.
you're safe, yeah. Alright, next story. Softball athletes make All-State.
Woo, sports!
Quote, tryouts for All-State have been wrapped up, and the student athletes of Lambert make the Longhorns proud. Cassidy and Croupitt made the GACA All-State team, representing Lambert as one of 9 athletes from Forsyth.
Nice.
These ladies were chosen after being on the winning team of the Regional 6 AAAAA Championship. Honorable mention for player Marissa Guimbarda. I hope I pronounced her name right. But yeah, that's good for them.
Yeah.
If you want to see photos of them or what they look like, or,
Read more about it.
yeah, just maybe reach out to them, wish them a congratulations. You can go see it on thelambertpost.com and see the article there. It was written by Nuseba Smith, associate editor. Alright, next up was our staff editorial, posted a couple days ago. If anyone doesn't know, the staff editorials here on the Lambert Post are when our entire staff will write about 200 words on a preset topic to give their opinion on it, and it's meant to kind of just be open discussion forum. This week we had 13 responses because some people turned in their things late, and I said, too bad.
New Sabres got put on.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Miss Rose thought it was good.
It was good. It was late, though.
Well, it was still there.
I'll have to talk to Miss Rose about that. No. Anyway.
Just kidding.
So, the question this week was staff editorial, how far do you think freedom of expression should go in school?
I don't know if I, understood this topic enough. I just, started talking about, you should learn in school. And,
okay.
Not everything's opinion-based.
What did you think that the topic was asking?
Well, I just didn't really have a strong opinion on it.
Uh-huh.
So I just kind of made up my own topic in my head.
Alright, so Elizabeth Finley says, quote, "There is no doubt in my mind that self-expression is something that is extremely important to people, especially at a school age, and it is something to be encouraged even in school systems. However, there is a definite line when discussing the idea of freedom of self-expression in individual classes. On one side, there is the truth that personal experience is exceptionally valuable and should be encouraged and allowed within schools. But there is also the idea that the school in itself is here to teach young people important facts, skills, and teach students how to apply things into their life, into the future." And that's as much as I'm reading.
And then I was just just wanted to say, if you want to be creative and express yourself, then take creative classes. If not, if you're, if you're in, science, sorry, that's
Too
not really an
bad.
expressive class.
Yeah. Interestingly, when the Supreme Court has ruled on students' rights in school, they've essentially decided we have no rights in school. The teacher and administrations can censor anything you say if they can find a link to why it disrupts educational purposes.
That's
Rare, so that's why Student Post is censored a lot, even at the Lambert Post. I would argue that really everything we've tried to post doesn't really disrupt educational purposes at all, but if an administration can find a way to explain it that way, they can do it. And finding a way to explain it that way can be really easy, Yeah. It's
Lambert Post is awesome, so
yeah.
that wouldn't happen.
And then it's also you don't have a right to a Fourth Amendment either in school, unreasonable search and seizure. Supreme Court ruled that as long as you're in a club, and as long as it's a voluntary activity, the administration could say, if you want to be in any club, you have to get a drug test, and if you're not willing to take the drug test, you can't be in any club. So any club, anime club,
Hockey
chess club, Quinn's Canada Club.
It's hockey club.
Oh my god. What did I say at the beginning of this podcast? I said, I am in a bad mood. And I said, Quinn, don't talk about Canada or hockey.
You didn't say or hockey.
Yes, it was implied. You should have known. I might have to stop this thing early.
Well,
I
luckily
don't
for
see
you,
what your
Elizabeth, there's only
problem
one
is
more
with it.
article left.
Okay, well, let's go.
Written by Quinn Forney, online editor.
That's
There's
me.
I don't want to hear it.
It's me.
I don't want to hear
It's
it.
not about hockey, I
I
swear.
don't. It probably is. I don't even.
No, it's a...
It's an editorial called "Minimum Wage Needs a Raise."
Oh my god, is this what you were yelling? You and this girl were fighting about in history?
Yes.
Do you want to tell the story, Quinn? And remember, be respectful.
So, I was in world history. I came in late. I sat down. We were learning about Industrial Revolution. And the teacher said something about minimum wage. And,
I'll tell the story from here.
he cited...
Quinn and someone else started
no.
fighting. And they were
Bare knuckle brawling.
they had opposing opinions, and they were like, ah, to each other, and I wasn't really listening because I was trying to text my mom about something, but I did, like, listen to some parts, and it was entertaining, like,
Yeah. I mean, obviously it was entertaining. The whole class was laughing. So.
oh, yeah, and then our teacher after, he was like, you
I
guys
like-
should do this more.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
funny.
this is the kind of discussion that we need to have in the classroom.
That was funny. I was like, okay, I'll make sure to yell at people more.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't yelling.
I don't know.
Not what I heard, Quinn. No, I'm kidding. Anyway,
That was a good time.
quote. $5.15. That's the minimum wage.
$5 footlong.
I work at Subway, for one. I can say we don't have a $5 footlong.
Really?
No, we don't. That was years ago. You.
Is that not a thing anymore?
No.
And they're not even a foot long. They're 11 inches. But let's get back on topic, please.
No, I mean, they're a foot long.
Yeah, Quinn, do you work at Subway? No.
No.
So shut it.
My dad managed a Subway for 10 years.
I've worked at one for 4.5 months.
Yeah, Quinn. Quinn's here.
I was locked in the freezer with the cookie dough too many times.
Okay, I don't... Riley, keep on trucking.
All right.
Please.
That's the minimum wage in Georgia. At least
I
for
thought it
those.
was like $7.
Let me get to that. At least for those who aren't under the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act. This minimum wage is the lowest in the continental United States of America, tied with Wyoming. Classic Wyoming. Regardless, Quinn does point out here in the article, Elizabeth, that, oh, by the way, in quote, Quinn does point out here in the article that even though the state minimum wage is $5.15, that doesn't matter because the federal minimum wage is $7.25. For instance, when I started working at Subway, I started at $7.25. I now make more than that. In fact, every minimum wage job I've ever had, I end up making more than minimum wage.
Well, aren't you cool?
Well, no, I'm about to make a point. Quinn, can you explain why you think the minimum wage needs to be raised?
It says it right there in the editorial. And
Yeah, well,
It's
this
like-
is a podcast.
Where you
talk.
I'm not going to read the entire article.
okay, yeah, I mean that makes sense.
It does. Maybe I don't want to hear opinions from someone who can't even figure it out. Come
What?
on.
No, Quinn.
That didn't- okay.
Elizabeth, be quiet.
But so it's not enough to live off of, and even though that's your experience, there's been experiences where people have kept working minimum wage for a long time, and in businesses where you're tipped, you can make as low as $2.43 an hour as long as your employer can make up the difference if you don't make minimum wage and tips. But so they can keep you working at minimum wage for as long as they want.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. There's a argument to be had that employers, even if they are able to, will want the most profit possible, so they're going to pay the workers the least amount that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're familiar with competition in the marketplace, right?
Yes.
Of how there's supply and demand, and you need to lower your prices and make your product more desirable to compete with other retailers for customers. That's also very true within employees. And that's why, like, going to college, getting an education is so important because it makes you more competitive to employers. That's why they offer you more money because you are a skilled laborer. If you're educated and you know how to do your job, you may be making $40,000 a year at said firm. Another firm may see your experience, see your work, and realize that they can pay you more, and so they may offer you $50,000 a year, and you may go to their other firm. If the first firm wants you, which usually you'll give a notice to a company when you leave, they may offer you more because you're valuable to them.
Yeah.
Now, minimum wage workers aren't making $40,000 and $50,000 a year.
Of course.
If you work full-time in Georgia at minimum wage, you're going to be making about $12,000 a year,
Yeah.
which is not enough to survive on. Your article points that out, and that's absolutely true.
It's even below the poverty threshold.
Yeah. If you're working full-time minimum wage, you ideally should have someone else support you, and your income is just a additional amount.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it is also very true that even in a minimum wage job, if you're able to prove you know how to do the job, you will get advances very quickly. 2 months into working at Subway, I got a 75-cent raise just because I asked for it. I said, can I be making $8 an hour? I feel like I'm doing a good job. And he said, yes. And that was the end of it.
That
Because-
wants me to work at Subway.
Because I do my job, I know how to do it, I don't make customers upset, I get my work done, I've had a job before this, so I'm experienced, right? That being said, using Subway as an example, Subway, usually, at least when I work, we only have one person working at a time.
Yeah.
Our profit margins aren't very high. You can't have a lot of people working, or the store will go out of business. So you only have one person working at a time. And if one person begins to get paid too much, that could put the store out of business. Employees, especially part-time employees, come and go with increasing regularity. I'm going to be quitting my job in 6 or 7 months because I'm going to college.
So I was like, what? I remember.
So
seeing
I
her.
only at Subway, I'm only going to be at Subway for 10 to 11 months. My job before this at Publix, I was there for a year. That's not that long. They're constantly bringing in new people. And when you're one grocery store like Publix and you have 400 employees working at once and one is quitting every year, you're bringing someone new in every week. If those people are teenagers who have no work experience, who may not know how to properly clean a bathroom, who may not know how to properly work a cash register, who may not know how to do X, Y, and Z, you have to spend time to train them. And if you have to go in and pay them $15 an hour for someone who doesn't know how to do the job, you're going to be discouraged from hiring workers without experience. You're only going to hire workers who have experience, and so it's going to be very hard to even enter the marketplace. And that's concerning considering minimum wage jobs are usually entry points into higher paying jobs.
I think $15 an hour is much. It's way too much for a beginning minimum wage. It would make sense in an area where the cost of living is much higher, if you lived in a downtown residence. But if you just live in an area like where we live, then it's not going to be as much.
Yeah, well,
And so it's not necessary to have it as $15.
yeah, but the thing is, if you are good at your job, and that's the thing, if you have experience, if you show your employer that you're good at your work, you will make above minimum wage. I guarantee you. And if you aren't making minimum wage, you can find a different job because you have skills to get more money. Your employer, if they really want you, is going to pay you enough to keep you around. And if you say, I need enough that I can live on, they will pay you. If they think that you aren't valuable enough, you can go somewhere else where your experience is valued. That's why there's competition in the marketplace. And if it costs not even 15, if it costs $12, $10 an hour to hire someone new, that's going to discourage them from hiring 15, 16-year-old teenagers or minorities who come into the country and are looking for an entry-level job to build up their resume.
When I was actually looking at the statistics and some of the research behind this, something that interested me was that the majority of minimum wage workers who would benefit from this are actually older women. And they're in their 20s or older. And so it's not just teenagers.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people overlook. And they say, why would a teenager need that much money if they're still living with their parents or they're only working part-time? But they don't realize that there's a lot of people working full-time who aren't making enough money to live.
Yeah. That being said, most part-time jobs in the U.S., the people make $16.57 an hour. I work a part-time job. I currently make $8. I'm a teenager. I make above minimum wage, but I'm not going to be making... I would never make $16 an hour at Subway. Most part-time workers, though, if she's older women, it says part-time workers, and a lot of people imagine, okay, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Kroger. Yeah, those are part-time jobs, but there are better part-time jobs to get where you also don't need a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are older and have more skills. I don't think raising a minimum wage that discourages hiring new workers, requires you to fire workers, is necessarily good if it means that people can't eventually get a job that will pay them $16.57 an hour. Because say you raised minimum wage to $15 an hour, because that's a common proposal among liberals to raise to $15 an hour. That suddenly means that...
It just sounds like so much money.
I know. That suddenly means that my employer has to fire half of his workers.
I babysit and I get $10 an hour and I feel like I'm rolling in cash when the night is done.
Yeah. So at Subway we have 6, 7 employees. Most of us, I imagine, I don't know their wages, but most of us I imagine get paid around $8 an hour. if it's suddenly $15 an hour, that's literally double the cost, and
Yeah.
you have to fire half of your employees.
Yeah.
And a common argument is that, oh, well, eventually the marketplace will even out, and
Yeah.
since people have more money, they'll spend more money, and then companies will grow, and they'll be able to hire more people. Yeah, that's true, which means that we'll be right back in the same place we are now.
Yeah.
No company can make an economic profit in a long-run cost curve, and inflation always catches up with prices.
Yeah.
So you're right, it would end up right back where it is now, with half of the people not having the jobs for a couple years.
Yeah.
So for a couple years, we have half as little part-time jobs, with all the people gaining part-time jobs having a lot of experience.
Maybe you should write an article.
Well, Quinn did write an article.
I know, but you could write a counter article.
I thought about it.
So that's actually something that Miss Rose and I were discussing, is a new type of article where we do 2 columns and have like contradicting sides in
Yeah.
both. And I thought, like, I proposed that to her, and she said that'd be pretty cool. So we
Yeah,
can look
I would
into
have
doing
been.
that.
I'm not going to be doing this one because I already said my piece here.
Yeah.
But I would be open to doing that
Yeah.
about something.
But so the issue is like minimum wages. It was adjusted with inflation for
Yeah.
a while, for a long while,
Mhm.
and then recently, like after the recession, it hasn't
Yeah.
gone with inflation, and so it's much lower in value than it was even in like the 90s.
Yeah.
And
No, that's
so-
absolutely true. If you were making minimum wage in 1963, you're making more money than you were making minimum wage now.
Yeah,
That being said, there comes into debate a lot of points. One, I've already said all the actual reasonable points about why it's bad for business. There are 2 other points that are a moral point in
Yeah.
our government. One of those points is that you're telling business owners what to do and inhibiting them from running their business the way that they want to. So you're taking away their freedom. You could argue, well, their freedom comes at the expense of their poor workers. Those workers don't have to work there. They can go work somewhere else that's willing to pay them more.
Yeah.
And
and then
the people
employers-
that work there are the ones that are willing to take the lower wages. So the only person's freedom you're taking away is the employer. You're not taking away
Yeah.
the employee's freedom.
And the employers actually lose money when employees go because they lose money for employee turnovers and for training.
Exactly. And so since you already lose money, you're going to lose more money paying someone $15 an hour to train them for someone who may
Yeah.
be gone in 3 weeks, because that happens all the time in part-time jobs.
Employer-
People are hired and
yeah.
fired in 3 weeks.
Yeah, employee retention actually goes up if you have a higher minimum wage because
Because
people want to stay, and there's not as much competition. And
But competition's good.
yeah,
When there's not as much competition, you get the 1980s stagflation in the Soviet Union. The other moral point is that if you really I know, I'm gonna write it up. If you really don't care about the business owner's freedom, or you don't care about all the logical points that economists say of why it's bad, because economists do say it's bad.
yeah,
You can be a liberal and have your heart say, we need to take care of them. That's great. It's bad,
yeah.
logically.
I've seen economists that say it's good. I've seen those that say it's bad. It's just a varying view, even within
I mean,
economists.
there are also scientists who think that global warming is a myth. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, what?
Zinger.
I'm just saying, like, just
No.
because a very small percentage of economists are like fiscal liberals
Yeah.
doesn't mean much to me.
It's like-
but the other thing
sorry,
is,
go ahead.
if you want to ignore all those points and say have a minimum wage, cool. Totally, you can have it. You can have a state minimum wage. A federal minimum wage is unconstitutional. It has the federal government. Sorry.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
It has the federal government infringing on the states, and it's illegal.
Yeah.
It's frankly illegal. So, if you want to have a minimum wage, fine. Abolish the federal minimum wage and work on raising $5.15 to $15.
That's almost 3 times as much. And
Yeah. So have fun making business
yeah,
owners spend
that'd be
3 times
wild.
more.
But like, since it's never been tested on such a large scale to raise it by that much, because it's been so low for such a long time.
It doesn't need to be tested though.
Yeah.
We
But-
already know how
so that's
it turns
why
out.
that's why there's economists with so many varying like views on it, is because we just don't know what would happen because we can't.
No, but we do know
predict
what
it.
would happen.
We can.
There are things called economic multipliers,
Yeah.
and you'll learn this when you take AP Macro, that will tell you exactly what will happen.
Yeah. Well, we can predict that, but there's still possibilities out of our control.
Yeah, I mean, you can also test throwing a child off the Empire State Building
Yeah.
and say that gravity predicts the child will fall, but we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Well, you don't know how fast the child will fall.
And with
9.8
that,
meters per second.
But what about wind resistance?
You got me there.
and with that, it's time to wrap this up.
Okay. As always, this is the Lambert Post podcast. Come back each and every Monday, or sometimes Wednesday, apparently, to listen to us talk about the news that matters most to you. This has been Riley Finley, Elizabeth Finley, and Quinn Forney signing off.
Peace out.